Hi, it's Teresa from Dodge Nature Center. This week on Nature to Go, sometimes you have a day where you just don't feel like going outside. The weather's just not cooperating, and as much as, there's no bad clothing, that whole idea, it's cold, it's rainy, it's snowy, you're tired, sometimes you don't want to go outside. But that doesn't mean you have to stop learning about nature. That's a great time to take advantage of finding out some more information about some things you might have gotten curious about. And what I'm going to do today is share with you some books that are ways to help you learn a little bit about nature, and they're really easy reads, because I know for some of you sitting down and reading a long book is not your first choice of activity. And all of the books I'm going to share with you today are books that have short chapters, very short sections, so it's really nice to start and stop the book at different times. And all of these books that I'm sharing with you today too are regional books. They're by people that either are writing in this area or are talking about things specific to the area where we are. All right, so the first book that I'm going to talk to you about today is called Backyard Almanac, and this is by Larry Weber. Now, it's a book that has one page for each day of the year, and then what is talked about are events that would be likely to be happening at this time of year. So it might be talking about something going on with plants or something going on with animals. And one of the really nice features is at the bottom of each page, there's a spot where you could write in something that you saw happening on that particular day. A second book that's sort of similar is Jim Gilbert's Minnesota Nature Notes. All right, this one is set up by season, and then within each season it has, well, in the first week, these are things we would expect to happen. In the second week, these are things that we would expect to happen. And so again, there's lots of information, but it's written in very short little vignettes. So it's a quick read, pick it up, read a little bit, put the book away. Later on, you can come back and read some more. If you're really into birds, this book is probably for you. This is called For the Birds, an Uncommon Guide by Laura Erickson. And it's not a field guide per se, because it's kind of set up like the Backyard Almanac book. There's one page for each day of the year, and on that page it'll either talk about a bird or it might talk about a particular trait birds have. But again, it gives you a way to learn information about birds, but in little snippets. Okay, one page for each day of the year. If you want to go a little more in depth, this might be the book that you want to go for. This is called The 3-Minute Outdoorsman. And this particular book, written by Robert Zink, is Robert Zink is a scientist, but he was also somebody who liked to hunt and to fish. And he a lot of times would come across scientific articles that pertained to what he was doing as he was trying to hunt and fish. And he thought, wow, this is really neat information that people who hunt and fish never get to read about or learn about. And so he started writing articles for Outdoor News, and they thought it was great that this was somebody who was a scientist but also an outdoors person who could translate the information. And so there are 63 of his articles in here, and they have great titles like Cats Outdoors and Native Birds, an Unnatural Mix, Turkeys in Love, What's Actually Happening Out There in the Spring, and one I'm really intrigued by, What You Don't See Under Your Boat. Those are just some of the crazy titles that he's got. These are a little bit longer, maybe 3 or 4 pages long, but he writes for ordinary people, so he really helps take all the scientific jargon and make it easy to understand. And then the last book that I have is this one, Natural Connections by Emily Stone. Now this is, she's got 2 books with this title. She writes a weekly column for the Wisconsin area. She works at the Cable Natural History Museum in Cable, Wisconsin. And it's a similar kind of idea as some of these other books where she picks a topic, picks an animal, picks a plant, picks some kind of an event that is happening in a particular season of the year, and then describes in more detail what's going on. And I think this book kind of typifies what we're trying to do with Nature to Go. We want to be curious about what's around us in the outdoors. When you observe something, sometimes just looking at it doesn't get you the answers you want. And sometimes you have to go somewhere else for those answers. And so I've shared with you 5 books that are maybe great places to get some of that information. There's a lot of other books out there that I can recommend if you'd like me to recommend some others to you. But for now, you can start on any of those 5 books. Thanks for joining me for this episode of Nature to Go, and we'll talk to you again next time.